the nice connection between what they saw in the past and maybe what we need to show or to teach the students right now. So the roundtable is going to be led by Mr. André Niedermann, who is the, well, I'll let you introduce yourself and I'll let you all of you to introduce yourselves. But they're going to be discussing about how technology will transform F&B and events. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Thank you very much to everyone. This panel was actually after the presentation of Natalia. I was going to extend the panel with so many questions until 10 this evening, but since you already answered, you had a pre-panel just before, I think we can close it on the spot at 5. Let me ask all the panelists to come up and I'll introduce you. My name is André Niedermann. I'm happen to be the president of the Les Roches Alumni Association, but also I have a professional life. And I'm a digital innovator, I'm an entrepreneur, and I also work for one of the leading universities in Switzerland, the School of Business, FHNW. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. So let's start off with,
the only lady.
Well, you know, let me just have a brief overview of today. A lot of innovation again. We tend to forget that innovation has also to do with, you know, there can also be marketing and organizational innovation. But now in this roundtable, we're going to talk about technological innovation and more specific technological innovation, F&B and events, because we have gentlemen here that have the expertise. We have people here that are suppliers into the industry. Let me introduce to you Salma Miss. Actually, Miss is your right name, so it's Miss Salma Miss. She's the head of global marketing at FCS Computer Systems, a company that specializes in hospitality technology innovation, right? I'll give you a word afterwards to elaborate on that. Then we have Kaizad Patel. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called SatisFIND, based in Singapore. Also a tech company within the hospitality industry, and I'm sure you're going to tell us a bit more about that. Then we have Dr. Wolf Wagschal to my right here. He's the CEO and partner at WW Worldwide Hospitality. He's also a fellow colleague from the batch when I was at, or we were together at Les Roches, and he's an owner of several restaurants. He'll be telling you about that shortly. And then here, the announced Panos Tzivanidis. Greek guys need to have other names. It's so difficult. Tongue twister. Tzivanidis is the director of corporate events and services at the International Olympic Committee. A heartily welcome to all 4 of you. Thank you for participating in this panel. So, let me start off with these gentlemen who are in the food and beverage and events industry. How mature would you say, or on an index of 1 to 10, how mature would you say is your establishment in terms of applying technology? Yeah. Well, each of you has a microphone, so yeah.
First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's always fantastic to be back to school. I mean, the feelings are always coming back to the roots. So it was lovely to see all the students today, and it was lovely to hear so many new things that are happening and how the school has evolved since we were here. I think I'm the oldest batch, so let's keep it like that. Well, on your specific questions, I will have to split it on the 2 different levels, on the events and purely on the food and beverage. And I will say that, of course, COVID has pushed events and technology and innovation around technology of events, gave a big push. So I will say that we are a little bit better on anything that has to do with technology around events rather than the pure F&B. F&B has made tremendous leaps on anything that has to do with sustainability and local sourcing and responsible sourcing, but purely on technology, I will have to give the edge a little bit on the events technology.
Okay. What about Wolf?
First of all, nice to be back here after so many years. But so for events, I think also during COVID, we actually even pre-COVID, we'd make a lot of big events, for example, in the Borlak with 1,500 people. And this whole cash system and social media connection, we started to work with companies that integrated all this, and it first of all created a community of people at the events, and it made it easier to purchase tickets and things like that. So on the food and beverage side, I really don't see too much of a development in the technological side. That's.
All right, Salma and Kais, you're working at companies that are tech producers. You produce solutions for the hospitality industry. You know, how can you help? How do you take your how do you help the industry?
Yeah, so one of the things that is really interesting in terms of event units, first is that they're very different. There's event units within hotels, there's the Olympic Committee, there is the guys who organize festivals, they're very eclectic and they don't share a lot of attributes, right? But they share one main commonality. They all have complex operations that involve a lot of key players, a lot of departments in order to put together this masterpiece or perfectly orchestrated. So it's very reliant on human today. And I think one of the things that we work on a lot at FCS is trying to automate a lot of the processes that are really tedious, that people don't want to be doing. They don't want to be copy-pasting things. They don't want to be doing Excel. They don't want to, they want to have a process that makes their life easier so they can use their skills to change things. So I think our contribution is operational. I've also worked with restaurant groups and I've seen solutions in F&B. You were mentioning that you weren't seeing a lot of that. It's true that in Europe, I think it's a little bit behind, but in Asia, we actually have some solutions that are automating a lot of things. 7 Rooms is an incredible solution that does take care of everything from booking to follow-up emails and guest recovery. So it's interesting to see how we can, integrate this operations from an event point of view to the F&B solutions that are already in place and that are actually making an impact today, I would say. Back to you.
Okay, I'll actually take off from where she's mentioned about operational. So my company, SatisFIND, we've created a trust experience management solution, which we work with. What we do is we take both the customer experience and the employee experience and give it equal value and importance. It's not one or the other. It's mostly everybody depends on saying, oh, we focus on customer experience, but it's the employees, the frontline employees that are actually delivering. They're your first point of contact. So my solution works with that. They take insights from customer feedback. We use multiple methodologies, voice of customer, mystery shopping, and we work with retail, hospitality, travel, tourism, etc. And we get that insights and then create upskilling solutions for them. And that is completely delivered using tech, from online videos to virtual reality solutions.
Okay, so Panos was just saying that technology breaks down to event or actually surfaces in event technology at the moment. I don't know if anyone has seen that ABBA is trying to sort of get together again with holographic projection, which is very interesting. Coachella has created a virtual reality experience in order to have people, to increase the attendance of Coachella, etc. So, which technology would you say are the technologies that are going to create or have the highest potential for immersive experience to the audience?
So first of all, I would like to make to say something that I really believe it profoundly. The events industry and the hospitality industry, just before COVID, we were doing a lot of things, but I do seriously believe that COVID got us in a way unprepared, because what actually Dr. Rothstein was saying, it is absolutely true. We were trying to do things more collaborative, but what we were using, not new technology, we were using technology that was existing. And actually, even during COVID, we just took existing technology, we pushed it at the max and we tried to do something new. The examples that you're using right now, and it is being discussed several times, hologram and virtual experiences, we need to come back to the basics. And here is where really we need the younger generations. We need to come back to the basics because at the end of the day, events or even F&B, it is experience, it is emotions. And for the time being, we need also to accept that the younger generations have different way of experiencing things than some other generations. I don't like to say that we need to accept segmentation, but we need to, through segmentation, we need to identify what it is common and how we can use the commonalities to make the next leap on technology or on the innovation for events. We, and I'm saying we because we are kind of the older generation, we are still extremely bonded with what Walid said, with the touch, with the feeling, with the senses. The younger generation, and I'm happy to have a son who's in the younger generation, they perceive experience and emotions differently. And this is what we, of my generations, that we are ready to, because that's also perceptions that big organizations and big companies are not ready to. We are ready to embrace, but we need the younger generations with the innovation to guide us and to help us in a way that we understand and can make sense to us. So I can tell holographic experiences, virtual experiences, augmented reality, all this will happen. How and what experience they will create, it is still to be seen.
Well, since we're speaking about emotions, it's not really related to events, but hospitality. I had the opportunity a year ago to speak at Concierge Clef d'Or event of 500 concierges, and they asked me to talk about where do I see concierges in the next 10 years. I said out of work, but
Out of work.
But actually, if you think about it, you know, in the 5-star hotel segment, there's always going to be a market for it. Yeah? But in the smaller hotels, 3, 4-star hotels, where nowadays there's so much technology, so many apps, so many offers there, you don't need a concierge. And actually, the typical concierge is outdated. They don't know the in places. They don't have time. They work 5 days a week. They don't go out. So how should they know? But these modern applications, they work with users. They get the feedback. So the technology in this segment is moving very quickly. And if the hospitality in the 5-star segment doesn't develop, then sooner or later they really will be out of a job. So.
Okay, not very promising, the future of Concierge. Let me pick up something that Panos still said. He was saying on the one hand side, we'd like to use the power of youth. Is it because Salma, what do you think? You're of that generation, the Generation Z. What is your take on this? Do you think we should focus more on them because they're more tech savvy, or because they will be, adopting this future technology, or?
So first of all, I hope you're ready for what you're going to hear. But just hearing the conversation, you've just gone ahead and said, out of these technologies, which one is going to be the one that's best to adopt? And what you're looking at as technologies are the fluff. It's all the fluff that, makes an experience elevated, which is great. But we have bigger problems. We have operational problems today that we can overcome with technology. And you need to listen to us because we want to handle those. So we know how to prioritize.
Who is us?
The millennials. So the younger crew. No, but it's true. I feel like, the understanding, what's his name? Pablo said something very important earlier. We don't have to create the technology. We have to be given the tools and the power to be able to choose that technology and stack it up in order to solve problems. Technology is here to first solve problems, then embellish. And I feel like our generation has perhaps understood that better, and we're trying to go to the root of the problem and then add the fluff, which is really nice, we love it, but it's for us almost an expected and a given. We go to festivals, we expect 3D mapping. A hologram is great to have, it's a great experience, but this for us is just, it's a given. What else can we do to resolve problems?
Are we to expect, I mean, if you say the younger generation is going to a festival and expects 3D mapping, and then we have the older generation, us, we expect to have beers there or something else, some other immersive experience. But, you know, is there going to be like a divergence in the expectation and fulfillment management, or?
I don't know how to phrase this, but there's a natural course of things that is just going to lead that, you know, the leadership that is going to be in place. I think everyone appreciates these experiences. And I think moving forward, more and more of our generation are going to take positions of decision, right? And are going to put together something that might be a little bit different or just the same. But I think the appreciation is coming, and we will evolve and grow with the technologies that are present, that we're going to build in order to not only make things nicer, but also resolve problems. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Or you
So
agree,
I think that's
Thijs?
one of the...
Or Wolf, yeah?
I was just thinking about the technology side. During the COVID, when we had to, for example, in our restaurants, I created close to 50 restaurants, and in our restaurants we had opted for a QR code instead of the menu cards. But we noticed that as soon as it got back to normal, people want menu cards. They want to touch things, you know, and even if we just made a new restaurant and put a big QR code outside that people could scan, and so many people have asked, could you put a menu card outside? You know, so if you think that in the next little while, I guess a big part of the population is going to be much older, and maybe they don't have a grasp of this type of technology. We are to assume that everybody has an iPhone and everybody understands how technology works, but fact is, a lot of the older generation who are still our customers, they don't.
Actually, we prefer physical menus too. There's utility, but it's part of the given. It's things that we want to have. We want to have the QR code on the table, but we love the menu. So what's next to resolve, you know, the issue of this waiter that has, you know, taken forever to take my order or has gotten the order completely wrong, and where's the follow-up with that? And this is where technology comes in. I'm not working for this company, by the way, but 7 Rooms is an incredible solution for restaurants. I encourage you to look into it. But that's what they do. They take the booking, they bring the guest in, they have the special requirements, they have the guest history, so they give you all the history from the previous restaurants as well. They do the follow-up, etc., etc. So we're looking at resolving an issue because we're selling experience, right? We're not selling a plate. And how can we, you know, really address that as opposed to just the QR code? The QR code is just a given. You have to have the QR code, but I'll still ask you for the menu because I like the menu. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's where he comes in as well, to add this human touch, which is very important. Technology goes hand in hand with human. When we design technology, we design things that are intuitive to humans. And we work together hand in hand, and we need human to verify. So
just to add, her generation, the millennials and the Gen Z, were digital natives. They always grew up with a smartphone. It's almost like they're a cyborg. They have an extension of their arm is a smartphone. We had to learn it. We have to zoom it. We needed to, you know, understand that technology. But these people were always exposed to it from a young age, from the beginning. So their point of view, their way of thinking is totally different from ours. And both have to coexist. There's no one is better than the other. As she said, even her generation prefers a physical menu. But a QR code is always helpful, and it's faster. You can share menus. You can adapt the technology to a lot of other stuff that you can do. And you can quickly change QR code linked menus rather than having to print a new one. And that would not be very sustainable either. You know, if you have to keep changing menus, or you're having Tagus menu that we used to have daily menus in the olden days. So I think it's a combination of both. You have to have both.
If I may say, Patel, because I agree with everything everyone says, and this is the beauty of it, because we can tackle the problem from different angles. Listening, I mean, and I don't want to take it down to the generational difference, but I do agree with you on the digital native, because I always use this example, and I'm saying that if we empower the younger generation, I mean, we are always talking in the different companies that we need to be more sustainable, we need to put programs about sustainability, we need to do this. And I'm always saying, no. Actually, we need to empower the younger generation, because they were born with the philosophy of sustainability. They were born with technology. So for them, they don't have to do something. They're doing it already. The other thing is that empowerment also brings great responsibility. And this, the younger generation should not undermine and should not underestimate the accountability and the responsibility that comes with this. Because when we put trust, because we believe that you need to have trust and empowerment, that you will help the whole organization or the whole movement to go further, there is a responsibility and accountability that comes with it. And I think that we can bridge the gap. There is possibilities exactly for coexistence. I'm a great believer on this.
I think it's even more than that. It's actually we're a generation that needs mentorship, and we are very, very happy. It's an allegiance thing, though. Like, we have to choose our leaders. We choose our leaders. It's a fact. But we need the guidance of someone that's more grounded, because, as you said, technology is an extension of our fingers. We grew up. I had a computer in my classroom when I was 7, and I've always had access to technology. I had a lot of time on my hands because I didn't have to research all the encyclopedias to find information. That's also a difference in my brain. But at the same time, it can move very fast in all sorts of directions. And this is where, the more grounded experience comes in. And we need someone or people to make us or help us walk the talk, basically. So, yeah.
So we're in the center of discovering chances and risks of technology in our industry. Panos, you were mentioning the segmentation. If you're looking at digital marketing, we're going very strong into the direction of segment of one, meaning that we try to personalize services and products. And technology is actually a great chance to do so. Where do you see possible dangers in that? Because you mentioned maybe we don't want to go into that segmentation area, right?
And again, I don't want to be misunderstood. When I'm talking about segmentation, I'm talking exactly personal experience, what means to me and what means to Salma. It's completely different personalization. The understanding of personalization, it is extremely different. Some people might consider, like you said, at the 5-star hotel, the personalization is that I want somebody that will greet me, that will take me up to my room, that will facilitate my whole experience. For some other people, personalization means that I don't want to see anybody, I want to go into my room, and they know exactly, because they have my data from the past, they know exactly how my room will be. I want the pillow that I like, I want the lights to be dimmed. So even the understanding of personalization, you can put it down again to this word of segmentation. For me, personalization comes with, and we like it or not, comes with something else that it is very controversial right now. It is data. And from the moment that you, as an individual, you're willing to share your data, you have an expectation that the data that you share, it will be used in the right way to personalize all the services that you want around this. And I believe in this because I'm somebody who, if I can benefit from sharing my data, I will do it. I don't think that many companies have understood the power of using my data because I gave them the right and the expectation I have. But that's what I'm a great believer, that we are going to reach a point that individuals will be sharing data based on what they will be getting out of the use of their data. And that's, I think, what many hotels and many restaurants and airlines are trying to do. They're not there, but they're getting better and better.
Data, the new gold, as everyone says. I mean, what's the danger behind it? We're in the era of GDPR. Everyone's afraid that the data will be misused. But, if I could check into another hotel and they already knew I like Swiss chocolate or I like this and this drink, and they could fill up the minibar, that's a great opportunity, no?
Let me give you an example. Oh, sorry, you were...
Right, just a quick comment. There is a also a negative aspect of that, and that is change. You know, people who are accustomed to drinking their tea and having their lights a certain level and things like that, that's the one thing. But maybe some change would also be nice for them, you know. And if everybody is following this pattern and they go to three hotels and they're all the same thing, you know, what makes the other one different, you know? Maybe this innovation has to be involved in this, you know, this personalized service. You go to a clothing store and somebody gives you a personal touch, you know, it says, oh, I love your shoes, but those socks you got to change, or whatever the case may be. This personal touch really has to stay personal and individual. And I think if you exploit it too much, you get into a very stagnant behavior, you know. So, like, the motto of my company is we create lifetime guests. And that's, you know, how I think the experience for everybody who comes into a restaurant or hotel should be. And I think personalization is great. I loved going to my favorite restaurant, and he knows Wolf likes this table, he likes this. But I love when he comes up and says, you know, let's try something different, you know? And then you have this trust in this relationship, so.
I mean, it's exactly this. That's to the point of, yeah, so that's personalization is skewed from a person to another is completely different. I wanted to give the example of a friend I have that doesn't use cookies, basically because he's completely paranoid that the Google people know what he's watching. God knows what he's watching. And so when we go to his house, he has the biggest house, so that's where we go for drinks, right? Every time we go, YouTube doesn't know what to play for us. We have to like go back to the drawing board because without cookies, there's no history, right? And without history, you can't have your usual playlist. So every week, we have to manually input things. To the point that was brought up as well before, it's the value that you give people. There's been a lot of discussions about, you know, how Facebook's using data to target us and things of the sort. My job is to capitalize. I don't have access to that data, but use those channels in order to reach certain personas and give them the right product for them. I think we've evolved a lot of how the data can be used. I think we have to be careful who we share it with. So organizations that are trusted do take a minute to see how they store and treat your data. But I think there's nothing really dangerous about, you know, personalizing experience for people. And then, of course, with the human touch, that comes into the journey later down the line, we're able to have like a full 360 solution. But I think there's been a lot of looking down at how marketeers are using data, but it's harmless. We're just trying to make sure that you see the product that you may need. There's nothing that is, we don't have superpowers to like convince you, or we're not evil. And it's, yeah, just share it with the right organizations. Come on, I'm not evil.
Okay.
I just want to add something. When we use the data that is available, we can move from different stages of data adoption. So initially, my company, when we were in a diagnostic stage. We wish to find out why this is happening with a particular restaurant or a hotel based on data. Why is the service slow? It could be because you don't have enough staff, you don't have enough people in the kitchen. Then when we said this is the solution for it, it became predictive in a way. If you do this, this, and this, your likelihood outcomes are going to be X, Y, and Z. It was almost guaranteed to be within those three. But now it's moving even beyond that. It's going to be prescriptive in nature. I'm going to tell you something that is going to happen based on a ton of different aspects of data. So people will have to share their data and your social habits. Yesterday at dinner, we were talking about Alexa or something, and suddenly one of our phones started, Siri, hey Siri, and boom, Siri said something to us. So it's listening, come on.
I'm better than Alexa.
So sharing data, it's, I won't say it's harmless, but I mean, come on, it's already out there. You can't do much about it.
Okay, so I'd like to get a take from the audience, but before I come to the audience, one more question. I mean, collecting data, you know, we're far beyond just collecting data. We know we can track behavioral. We can aggregate that data with location and context. Wonderful for the IOC, no? You can exactly predict what you need exactly at every single event, or what is the take of the IOC on that, you know, data management and using that data for smart, data-driven decision-making? And
I don't think we are different than any other organization. I mean, we are at this moment. I mean, we are more into the data of athletes and the data around the different sport disciplines rather than the operational data, which is a completely different ball game. But I do see the point, and we do cooperate, especially the organizing committees. They do collaborate with companies that they're exactly have algorithms, and they're trying to predict, especially when you're talking about movement of tens of thousands of people. It is so useful to be able to actually anticipate and use patterns to avoid problems, because this is the essence of it. When you have tens of thousands of people that they need to move in a city within a specific time, you need to be able to map out and to use data from the past and data that it is available in the city to plan as best as possible. So it is the power of data for a specific reason. On the other hand, we have wealth of data. If you see the beautiful, all the athletes and everything, and all the achievements that they're doing, and all the data that we have historically, you can see the evolution of many of the sports thanks to the data that exists for many, many, many years. So we should be cautious with the data, but as Patel said, data is here to stay. On the other hand, and this is something that we are saying for many, many years, the data is as good as the use of it. There are companies that they're collecting data and data and data, and they don't even know what to do with this data. And we went through this phase. I mean, at least I went through a phase of companies that were collecting data, and when I was asking them, why? They would say, but we need it. Yes, but why? And they didn't have an answer. And this is actually bad use, not of the data, but bad use of time and energy of a company.
I think the data collection is very interesting, but we have to look at two different sides of things. The economics of things, if we're talking about hospitality, restaurants, etc. The majority of the worldwide restaurants are mom and pop restaurants. They're not big chains and things like that. They can't afford to work with big marketing companies or data companies. So all this information is kind of irrelevant for them. Yeah? And if this data would be, shared in restaurant associations, etc., this of course might help the people. But like I said, economically, it's difficult to dissect this information or get this information, and then what do you do with it? So I think in the hospitality sector, all the associations, leading hotel of the world, etc., they need to share this information with their members, and try to find a way to utilize it to gain a stronger customer base in general. The big McDonald's, they know they have more than enough money they know exactly what their customers are doing, where they're from, etc. But the mom and pop restaurant up in Montana has no idea.
Okay, let me come back to the mom and pop restaurant. Maybe have someone from the audience ask a question. Yes, please. Sylvain.
Hi. I just had a comment following what Wolf just said. If you may have seen it in my presentation, but we're partnering with this startup called Full Soon, which has a predicting algorithm that just connects to the POS of every restaurant. It's not very expensive for the restaurant, and it actually goes right into the history of all the ingredients, menus, table, reserved, etc. And it basically, after a while, it starts giving fairly accurate, over 96% prediction on food waste, on how many tables are going to be reserved that week, on sporting events, weather forecast, whatever. All this mixed together, it's really good. And it's actually a lot of savings per year for the restaurant. Now, I understand your mom and pop's part, But I think that even moms and pups can actually make great savings from having this solution. We can talk about it later. That was just a comment. That wasn't the question.
A very interesting part, Sylvain. So you were actually showing the customer journey with your app, right? At the check-in procedure. And, you know, there's a research paper that came out from the University of Houston that says that robotics are going to take over or kill 25% of the hospitality jobs by 2030. Now, my question is, where do we see the experience? And because I'm a bit irritated, I really don't understand. On the one hand side, we want to create that experience or keep the experience. On the other hand, we have the mom and pop restaurants who might be happy to have a robot standing there. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, after COVID, there was an exodus of 30-40% people working in hospitality globally. So, of course, technology in this field, I could imagine in a McDonald's or something like that, where it's all standard copy-paste. I could imagine that, but if you go to a great burger restaurant or a great steakhouse or a great bar, I highly, highly, highly doubt you go there for an experience. So in this area, in the fast food and takeaway, I could see it.
Yeah, I want to say as well, because there was mentioned in one of the presentations, I mean, we should not be afraid about robots. I mean, come on, it's not the first time that our planet will go through a revolution and people will say, oh, we will not have a job. I mean, our industry right now faces more problems about people not want to do the job and we don't find the resources rather than actual robots taking over our jobs. So I will inherit and I will keep this phrase. If there is a job that can be replaced by a robot and it makes sense to be replaced by a robot, we should embrace. That doesn't mean that it's taking away a job. Robots will create, we had a revolution already. There will be other jobs that they will be created. At this moment, our industry has a problem of resources, huge problem.
But it would also create jobs, programming the robots.
That's what I'm saying. We'll create other jobs.
Maintenance for the robots.
Exactly.
And
So you would be open to having the sushi robot at Hato restaurants?
No, I think,
No?
like I said, our places it's a whole experience from what I was saying before, the smell, the look, the sexiness of the place, the food. These are all part of this experience. So in this capacity, no. But in a hot dog stand or like the gentleman with the coffee bar, given the right location and the right demographics, I think it could work. And would I invest in something like this? Possibly, if it was really well thought through. And labor costs are our biggest area, cost factor. 40 to 50% of our revenue goes to wages. And now that, hospitality has never really, it's always been an exciting business, but during COVID, people said, listen, I can do something else. I don't have to work on Christmas and weekends and night times. I can do whatever and do some programming or whatever. So we had this extra. So it's up to us to make our jobs more attractive, to pay better, and to look after our people more. So I think robotics, yeah, I agree completely. If a robot can take over a position to make a burger just as good as a McDonald's burger, which I'm pretty sure you don't need much to do that, so I'm sure it's possible, then why not? If I owned a McDonald's, I would say, yeah, great.
So in the brief that we had before, Wolf, you told me you went to a hotel and it was all full of technology, etc. And it sort of created a sense of frustration to you. My question to Salma, what are technology companies like you doing to guarantee that people going to hotels, experiencing technology will not fail?
Absolutely. So this is coming back to the points. Okay, coming back to the points that were made, if a robot can do the job, so let's say you're hiring a new cook. He's junior. You want him to cut onions for a week. He'll be very happy that there's a robot to do that. You know why? Because he can focus his skills, his passion on doing exactly what he should be doing. This is what we do. What we do is work in the background for other companies, for hotels, for their resources, assets, teams, people, to be able to do things that are not tedious, that are better for the experience, and for them to be able to also assign that in a way that's more holistic. So we are never about replacing people. You cannot replace people. We've been told since we walked into Les Roches, we are not selling a product, we are selling experience. It is created in the moment of interaction between the client and us, as in the service people. So I think it's very complementary, and there's a lot of fear about how technology can come and automate a lot of processes, cut jobs, and make things worse for hospitality. But in reality, we're just a support. We work in the background. The people will still be the ones talking for the front-facing experience. I hate bots more than anything in the world. They are a frustration loop all the time online. Like Air France has a bot now. Other companies have that. It's so frustrating. So like anything in life, in excess, it's not good. We have to find the balance. When do we need people? When can we take off the tedious, not exciting stuff of their hands and let them focus on the good stuff?
Okay, so you're mentioning one very good point, the fear of, new technology has to do a lot with iteration intervals becoming much shorter. Adoption in the market is not there because after innovation comes probably adoption. What are your takes on this? How do you prepare the market to accept that technology?
I think a certain level of education and just that example that you made. We stayed in a five-star hotel, and the room was so high tech. Thank God my girlfriend understands this stuff, or I would have been sitting in a dark room the whole night. But it was a bit frustrating because there was like 25 buttons to just turn on the lights and move the shutters and stuff. I mean, today, even in our hotel, was lovely, but the telephone, there was no numbers. Directory. At the end, I unplugged the phone. I called the reception with my own phone to ask them to send some tea, And it's just an example of not technology done poorly, It's an educational process, and if you give people some tips of how to use things, or then it's easier.
I think it bridges back to what he was saying. So, for example, your girlfriend, when she walked out inside the room, it was intuitive for her because the experience was designed for her persona, which is a different persona than you. So, yeah, brands should be matching technology with, in the experience with the right persona. And over technology can be very frustrating. Maybe I would have walked out into that room and been very happy, just not to have to talk to anyone and just, scan a QR code and get my coffee delivered. So, yeah, but I understand the frustration, definitely.
So we're coming closely to the end. Before we take the final round, I'd like to know what kind of public institution like Les Roches do in fostering technology, but also the acceptance of technology out in the market. It's probably a lot about getting the younger generation to not only think of technology, but also thinking of the experience.
I don't think you need to fear technology anymore. I don't think we should fear it. It's not evil. It's going to just make our lives easier. It, again, coexist with technology, coexist with all the new solutions coming in. But again, don't overdo it. Don't make it too complicated.
I had a discussion yesterday with Pascal, I think his name was, from Better Homes.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the social media and the addiction that it has on a lot of younger people. And if you walk the hallways here and you see every single student on his iPad and his smartphone, and here you have a summit with some top leaders, and none of them are here. I don't know why. I certainly think that they need to be more educated on real life stuff and not just the technological side of things, Yeah.
I think that partnerships partnerships that Les Roches is open to partnerships with other players and other governments in the technology industry or in any industry or startups. I think it is a good way to go. I think that having new companies that they are trying to do things and they're working together with Les Roches to exchange ideas, I think it is extremely important. And when I'm talking about exchanging ideas, it is listening to what the startup is trying to do, and then the Les Roches and the students try also to feed in and to understand and to complement and have something that comes out that it is meaningful. On what Wolf said, I totally agree, because it would have been better to have the students actually frying us and asking us many things. Let's hope they're gonna do it even online. On the social media, for me, it is part of their life, and I will not fight it, because we like it or not, this is the generation that was born in social media. Many times we are arguing about the communication, and for me it is, I'm fine with myself, and I have accepted that it is the method of the communication and the quality of the communication. It has nothing to do with the tool and the mean. I don't like maybe the tool and the mean that they're having, but I know that they are having meaningful communication in their own way.
Thank you very much. Final question of the day. Where do we see ourselves in 5 years from now, technology-wise? Is this going to be a virtual panel in 5 years from now?
Hybrid.
Hybrid?
Yeah.
Hybrid? 10 years from now?
I think it would still be personal. The only thing that I could see as a difference is that the lady from the UNWTO, instead of being just on a video, it might be on a different technology, that it will be just fluffy. It will just be the same. It might make the experience better, but it might be holographic or anything else, but this will not change. And I do believe in the events. It is about bringing people together. I'm a great believer about it. Hybrid, however you want to call it, it is here to stay. It will evolve. Definitely. Because people will not be traveling, and as I'm saying always, traveling for an event, giving your time, it becoming more and more crucial. So how you invest your time, it will be something that any generation will start thinking twice. Events will become a bit longer, because when you go somewhere, you want to spend time, quality time. You will not travel around the globe like we were doing post-COVID, pre-COVID, just for one-day conference. But this will not change. This will not change.
Well, there are some people who come for just a couple of hours for dinner to a conference.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be on a beach somewhere, so I'll send my avatar here. So.
All right, okay. So thank you very much. Salma, sorry.
I'm going to wrap up for you. So I think one of the common themes of this conversation that we're having is that hybrid is the model that works, and that actually dosing it was the best way to go. So I think moving forward, we'll all be hybrid, and it's about finding the balance between the light buttons being intuitive and having a person to talk to and finding the right middle. So yeah, go hybrid.
Super, very nice final words from Salma. Thank you very much. So from my side, the only part is to thank all the speakers that have come here to Les Roches today. To also thank the school for hosting us here, to all the sponsors for providing those products and services to us, to the entire organizing team and the AV team, to our crew here on the campus. They've done a fantastic job. Also to Pablo, Susanna, Florent for putting together this really fantastic event. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to the audience and all the audience out in the world. Don't forget, Les Roches is not just a school. It's a way of life. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Panos. This is for Panos. We are all signing. Can I back with yours? Yeah. Salma. Salma. Merci à toi. So guys, it's not ready yet, please. Last thing to do before we are leaving. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, André. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So the last part of the event is normally, okay, where we are celebrating. We are in Valais. So in Valais, there is a very important tradition, what is having wine at the end of the event. So I will suggest to our TIC team, okay, at the back that to put the lights up a little bit. You know already the corner where we're having the winery and we're having the gin tonic company, or the gin company. Please go over there, check a glass. We're coming back. We're going to celebrate, okay, many things. First of all, okay, that 2022 has been a good year, 2 years of Spark, a lot of collaborations. So please go there, okay, and take a glass of wine. And I call to a stage, please, Carlos Diaz de la Lastra, our CEO, Florent Varam, our program manager from Spark, please come here, and Susana Garrido, the director of Spark in Marbella. Sí, voy a traerlo. So we say ladies first. Carlos, Susana, Florent. Meanwhile, we are waiting that all of us will have a glass of wine. I would like to thank two sponsors of that event. I'm thanking the winery Gregor Konen that we're drinking the wine since last night and today, the entire day. Thanking all pilots, which is the brewery from Croatia, winners of European Gym this year, who are coming from Croatia to serve us. And also, no less important, we thanks to Spark Society, which is the student club of Innovation at Les Roches. 19 students have been helping to organize this event at the door, at the check-in, bringing water. So we'd like to thank, okay, also for being there as an important part of Les Roches. And last word, please, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello? Yes? Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm excited about this new step that we are doing in Spark. Thank you for staying here with us. I want to say thank you especially, Florent, for your leadership in the project. Thank you so much for all that you do. Susana, Pablo, amazing job. Thank you very much. Amazing work. Thank you, and we will see you in the next edition of the event and in other occasions that we will speak about Spark, innovation, and hospitality. Thank you so much for coming.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you very much. Good end of the year.